Hello, Cohenism here on cohenerdism, which is how you pronounce it, cohenerdism. I decided I really wanted to kick this thing off with a punch, if you can follow my 1-2. And I wanted to start out with a contemporary game as opposed to something obscure so I don't lose all of you immediately. The plan is to lose you all gradually. So I decided to start off with Final Fantasy XIII, which I'm sure all of you have seen or heard about at some point in the recent game news, wherever you find that. I've been waiting for this game for about 8 or 9 years since Final Fantasy X came out. I'll discuss that in another video, actually, probably tomorrow. I'm going to be posting on here fairly frequently, just so you guys know. And these videos might be longer than the ones on my channel, but nerds will stick around. So Final Fantasy XIII. Let's just get right down to brass tacks. Music, one of the most integral and paramount parts of the Final Fantasy series, just fell flat, fell short, was lackluster at best. In every Final Fantasy game I've ever played, right now I can pull out a song from every single one of them, and that was memorable to me that I could just hum. You know, I find myself humming them, you know, at work or wherever. Final Fantasy XIII, not a single song, not even one was memorable. The battle music, which you hear in every single fight throughout the entire game, except for boss battles and things. I honestly cannot even pull it out right now. I'm a musician. Some of my favorite music is contemporary orchestral, which is, you know, the staple to Final Fantasy. I don't remember a single song. This is an issue. And it's not just some fanboy issue where like, oh, it should have had good music. It should have had good music. And the music was okay, but Nobuo Uematsu, who was the composer for most of the old Final Fantasies up till possibly 10, I'm not sure when he stopped. I believe 9 was his last one, and he just helped collaborate with 10. He was a brilliant composer. Everything that he put out was memorable and had feeling in it and had emotion. This one just felt like we were just trying to get epic Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, Last Samurai, huge epic scores that just fell flat and did not fit the feel of the game at all. It was trying to pull out what wasn't there. And so that aside, the gameplay. Now, the battle sequences were brilliant. The physics just were you know, a little unrealistic, but you know, that's how it is in Final Fantasy. You know, it's unrealistic, but the physics still worked. Everything, the way that you moved, you know, it was very fluid and felt like you were actually there in the battle and experiencing everything that was going on. As you progress in the game, it got more and more fun. You know, you learn these new things that you could do, and it just became more fun as the game went on. And that's how it should be in a Final Fantasy game. And I was very pleased with that. The battle system was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved the battle system. The plot. This, for me, was one of the highlights and one of the worst points in the game. I'm not going to give any spoilers. The game had potential, in my opinion, to break the barrier that Final Fantasy VII has put up for the last 10-15 years. That insurmountable story. It had the potential to do that. You know, it created this universe that drew you in, that was like, you know, what is this? What are the fal'Cie? What are the, you know, what is this? And so it's creating questions in your mind that they're not even answering so much as expecting, assuming that you know the answer already. And as you play the game, they kind of answer themselves in just a very natural way, as if this universe just exists, and that's just how it is. And that was brilliant. It was just really well done. But the story in and of itself was very predictable, very simple-minded. It never went anywhere. There were no twists. It was just, I mean, I'm not looking for M. Night Shyamalan stuff here. Just a twist. Something that, you know, changes the perspective on what you're doing to, you know, whatever. It's exactly what I assumed was going to happen happened. You know, not just so much in the hero's winning sense, but, you know, whatever. So, that aside, characters. Voice acting, better than 10. Not the greatest voice acting though, especially a couple of the girls were actually horrendous. It was really just, it's one of those things, you know, fellow nerds, you're sitting in your room doing by yourself, you know, playing a game or watching, you know, whatever, something nerdy, you know, Star Trek or, you know, whatever it will be, and someone comes in and hears a line or something that someone says and laughs at you because you're watching it unabashedly, and you're going to continue to watch it, and they know, and you know, so they laugh at you. I felt embarrassed when no one was around. That's how bad it was. A few of the characters, you know, they started out kind of whiny and annoying, but eventually grew into something that I loved. The black character, Saz, was awesome. He was just so not the Black Barrett that we know from Final Fantasy VII, where he's just hardcore, got a gun arm and just blasting people. He was sensible and kind of dorky, actually, which I don't know, I loved that. Someone came in while I was being nerdy, so we had to change rooms. So, Final Fantasy XIII, a game that had the potential to finally climb over that wall that is Final Fantasy VII, and really create something new and fantastic. Fell just short of doing that, which is really upsetting. I loved the game. Don't get me wrong on that. I enjoyed it. The biggest problem that I have, though, is it did not feel like Final Fantasy. There was no replayability to the game, which is just a word that I use. It's not even a real word. But when it comes to RPGs, the singularly most important thing to me is its replayability. The ability to play it again and again and again and enjoy it in different ways each time, and, you know, have that nostalgic feeling of knowing what's going to happen and preparing yourself for it. And there just was no replayability to the game. I don't know if I'll ever replay it again, you know, maybe 5-6 years down the line if I'm feeling particularly nostalgic, but it just didn't have what, in my opinion, Final Fantasies have, which is that unexplainable golden nugget that is replayability. So, that's it from me here at cohenerdism, and I will catch you nerds on the flip side.